Good morning. My name is Malika, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the CA PPM Community Meeting, What's New in CA PPM 14.3 conference call. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press the pound key. Thank you. Mr. David Werner, you may begin your conference.
Thank you, operator, and welcome everyone to this CA PPM community meeting. We want to thank you all for joining us for this. We're starting a few minutes late, mainly because we have such strong attendance going on here this morning and you probably were experiencing this, there was a little bit of lag from people getting into the webcast to people getting on the line. So we know some of you are still dialing in still, but we want to go ahead and get started, and thank you. Thank you for all of you to take part in this with us. So my name is David Werner. I'm part of the marketing team for CA PPM at CA Technologies. With me is Brian Nathanson. He's part of the product management team for CA PPM at CA. And today we're going to be talking about CA PPM 14.3, our latest release of CA PPM. We're very excited about this release, very excited to be able to share details about it with you today with our customer community. In fact, Brian is going to be talking to it to great detail today. We're going to get into that in just a minute. One thing about the format here, wanted to let you know, this is it's a live webcast with our customer community, and we do want this to be interactive. So we are planning to answer as many of your questions as we can get to here today. So we have an hour to work through this. Brian and I are planning to speak for maybe 30, 40 minutes is kind of our thinking about this, how it would time out, and we're hoping the rest of that time could be used for questions and answers from all of you. So as we're going through the presentation, if you have questions, there's a couple ways you could submit them. One is that you could just type them in through the Q&A tab, and we will work through those questions. And then the other is if you would like to ask your question live through the operator, when we get to the Q&A section of this, we'll ask the operator, and you'll be able to raise your hand and talk to us that way. So again, we really want to have your questions. We want this to be an interactive session, and just very excited to talk to you today. So to start with, if I can advance the slides here, there we go. A quick legal statement, quick memorize that, take a screenshot, and then off we go. We don't need to spend a lot of time on that. I do want to spend a minute before we go into 14.3 about CA World, mainly because we're going to be talking about 14.3 today. The best way to see 14.3 is come join us at CA World and see live demonstrations of 14.3 at CA World in Las Vegas. And also, just to spend a minute on this, if you are, I know from looking at the attendee list here of our webcast here, I know a lot of you are attending CA World, and I wanted to address a couple things here, answer a couple questions for you. So if you're not already familiar, CA World is about a month from now, November 16th through 20th in Las Vegas at Mandalay Bay, and for CA PPM, our attendance at this year's CA PPM is very strong. We've been extraordinarily pleased with how that is going. We're still a month out, and we already have over 600 of you have already registered to take part for the CA PPM track at CA World. So a couple things about that. Actually, the very strong attendance and registration from all of you has created a nice problem for us to have, which is a lot of our sessions have started to fill up, and some of you may have seen that as you've been registering. In fact, we know because we've been hearing from you. There's been posts in the community about it. Wanted to let you know we are working on that, in particular for the pre-conference education sessions that are going on the first 2 days of CA World. We know that there have been, in fact, up until just last week, times when you go to register for a session, it shows up as being full. What's happened is we've increased the capacity a couple of times now on those room sizes, and we got to a place now where we need to do it again, and we're actually in the process right now of increasing that to a size where it really shouldn't be a factor. We ought to be able to accommodate everyone who wants to attend. So I actually meant to checked this morning to see if this was cleared up, but so I can't say for sure it's fixed as of this moment. But if you can, if you've experienced this frustration, if you've registered for a session and it's full, please check back later this week, and I think you will find that the session you registered for that was full will now be open again. So just a couple other things about this. We are sharing a track at CA World with Rally. And as you know, as you're going to hear about today with 14.3, the new Rally integration between CA PPM and Rally, it's a big part of our PPM story going forward. And so at CA World, we're sharing a track together. So CA PPM and Rally are part of the Agile Management track. And in that track are over 30 CA PPM sessions. In fact, it's closer to 40 sessions that are just for CA PPM. Along with, as I mentioned, the 14.3 demonstrations you can see. And CA World's always, one of the key parts to it is, of course, networking, getting insights from other customers like yourselves that have great stories to tell. Fun events. We have Fallout Boy and Cheryl Crow performing. It's just going to be a great event. So wanted to spend a minute on this just to remind you we would love to have you join us at Las Vegas and come see 14.3 live at CA World. So what I want to do before I hand off to Brian's going to take through really a detailed look at all the different features in the 14.3 release. But what I wanted to do to start with is to give you kind of a higher level look at how we are thinking about 14.3 and really the 14 series for CA PPM, how we're looking at it at CA Technologies. And we really have 4 pillars that we are looking at as we were designing this release, as we're developing these features. And they're the 4 pillars you see here around management insights, supporting Agile initiatives, really offering frictionless integrations, and then being able to have our customers have accelerated application portfolio management. And so these are the 4 categories that we really focused on with this particular release. And again, that Brian is going to go into some great detail about. But looking at these one by one, the management insights piece, this is something we really, we're continuing with 14.3 that we've been doing throughout the 14 series. And it's this idea of allowing you to deliver business insights to your business stakeholders and getting true insight out of CA PPM that allows it to become a single source of truth for your business. And what we introduced to 14.2, we're now continuing on a 14.3 with extending that to mobile devices. So to back up for a minute and remind you about what we did at the 14.2 release, that's where we introduced the data warehouse, we introduced the Jasper soft reporting, and what that really is, it really is business intelligence embedded into PPM. And it really is an industry first in its ability to allow you to easily create business-focused reporting, business-focused insights that you need that can be created by really any of your PPM users easily, and then easily consumed by your business leaders because that information has been framed and focused according to what your business, what your organization needs, and it's easily consumable, really giving you the true insights. Really the reason why you bought PPM in the first place is to get that sort of insight out of it into what's going on in your teams, across your investments, across your portfolio. So we did that at 14.2 and introducing that business intelligence. At 14.3, we're expanding that out into mobile devices. So really expanding it to the mobile workforce today. And what that's really about is making it even more easily accessible to all areas of your business because people today are looking to get that sort of insight on their phone. They don't want to be sitting down at their desk all the time to be able to get that information. Again, it makes PPM more valuable to you and more valuable to your business. And so extending this out to iOS and Android devices, really extending that to the mobile workforce, it's creating more value and easily accessible business intelligence. We're very excited about where we're going with this. The next pillar for us is supporting Agile initiatives. And to all of you, this is something we've been working on for several releases now at with CA PPM in terms of allowing you to roll up your Agile teams work, roll up the work of other Agile tools that are out there, and giving you insight into what's going on into your Agile and unstructured work teams. And as you all know, this is part of a large movement going on across businesses and organizations everywhere where teams are being expected to be more unstructured. They're looking for more agility. And along with that is, all of our businesses are all competing now in the application economy, and all of our businesses are now needing to offer applications as a part of working with their customers. And so to all of you, managing that application development is a key part of what you all need to do. So this is a story we've been working on for quite a while now of working in Agile into the project portfolio with CA PPM. But what's changed, of course, this year is Rally software is now a part of CA Technologies, and as of earlier this year, Rally is a part of CA, and with 14.3, this is our first release. It's our first opportunity to introduce a direct integration between Rally and CA PPM. It is really a fantastic direction for our solution, and we couldn't be more thrilled about it, where you now have an opportunity to directly connect CA PPM, a leading project portfolio management tool, with really the leading Agile development tool with Rally. We couldn't be more excited about how this is going. So again, this is giving you the opportunity to give further insight into what's going on with your Agile teams and be able to give further direction to those Agile teams and roll it up in your portfolio. We couldn't be more thrilled about this. And Brian is going to talk in some depth about how that integration works with Rally with 14.3. The next pillar is what we're calling frictionless integrations, and this is really about building a new connector platform for integrating with other software tools, and in a way that it makes it easier for you all to configure how you want an integration to function, and you're able to do that without recreating the interface every time you upgrade CA PPM or when you upgrade the integrated tool. It allows you to do that without the need for as much regression testing as used to be required, or there's not a need for purchasing license or subscription license you might need to some integration platform. This is all out of the box, easy to use, easy to configure, built on RESTful API technology. We're very excited about where this is going and helping you to connect CA PPM to other tools. Again, helping CA PPM to make it that single source of truth for your business, get further insight from CA PPM through those integrations. Lastly, another important piece of this is accelerated application portfolio management. So a lot of you have been using CA PPM for application portfolio management. A lot of you are looking at doing that. We know it's a growing business usage for CA PPM. And what we've done with 14.3 is we've worked with a lot of our customers who have been using CA PPM for application portfolio management, working with our partners who implement that, and understanding, what are some true road-tested evaluation criteria that you use to set up your application portfolio that we can offer in a content package for our customers to be able to do application portfolio management quicker and easier than ever. And that's what we've done. And so with this accelerated APM package, what it allows you to do is be able to very quickly use time-tested evaluation criteria to understand your application portfolio, and then from there, make decisions about how to simplify it, how to rationalize, how to move applications to the cloud, and to do all that easier and faster than ever. So this is a look at a high level of what we're doing with 14.3. We're very excited about it. And Brian, from here, what I will do is I will advance to your first slide, and then I'll make you the presenter. So go ahead, Brian.
Thanks, Dave, and thanks to everybody for taking the time today. So as Dave mentioned, we have several themes that we work against and pillars that we work against for what we were trying to accomplish in the 14 series. And you can see here that we're talking about our management insight, we're talking about our Agile Initiative support, and we're talking about our application portfolio management, as well as, and also the integrations that Dave mentioned as part of our support for Agile Initiatives. We'll talk about all of those details. But without further ado, let's get into it. So as Dave alluded to, when we talk about management insights, we like to say that reporting is not just pretty pictures, right? One of the things that can often happen is that you see a reporting solution or you see something that generates a report out and it gives you a pretty chart or graph or whatever. And the challenge is, well, okay, that's fine, but unless that actually relates to my business or unless it actually is in the context of the way I want to see it, it really doesn't do us any good. It's not valuable. So what we want to do is not just provide reporting. We're trying to provide true management insight that is simple to get at, but is also actionable because it is organized the way that you want it and presented in the proper context for you Context meaning that if you're on the road and you're using your tablet, you can pull it up on your tablet. If you only have your phone available, you can get the information out on your phone and be able to answer the questions people are posing to you on the spot, right? We want the ability for you to be able to get access the information you need, when you need it, configured the way you need it, which is why it also, based on our 14.2 last version, it takes into account your configured fields and your configured objects directly within the data warehouse, right? So with that, we introduced the self-service reporting in the last release, right? And so now we started addressing a couple of new challenges, which is first off that studies have shown that executives especially and upper and senior managers prefer to have their information presented to them in a dashboard format as opposed to the format they typically get it in today, which is email and spreadsheet, right? So what we wanted to do is provide an easier way for you to get dashboards generated that are reflective of the way that your leadership wants to see the information that they're looking for. And so we've introduced the Advanced Reporting Dashboard. This is dashboarding functionality that is powered by JasperSoft. It is in addition to our existing studio-based dashboarding, our Clarity Studio or CA PPM Studio-based dashboarding. So you have your option of using either one. The Advanced Reporting Dashboarding is similar to a lot of the cloud apps that are out there. You basically can take any report that you've created and drag it onto the dashboard, and a summary of the report, and there are certain options for what you can summarize by, will represent itself on the screen. You can then add filtering and text directly to the screen to explain different things or to filter multiple reports at once on the screen. Very powerful functionality, fairly easy to set up. It has all of the features that you can see over there on the left. So we're really, really excited and really proud about this. So we think that it'll add a lot of value for your organization for trying to reflect the information in ways that management has said they want to see it. The second thing that that study showed us is that, okay, well, a number of business leaders are saying that they can't get the information they want on their mobile device, another contextual thing, right? I want it, you know, if somebody's asking me, I'm on the road, I want to be able to see it. So in order to address that, we're now providing basic authentication support for the TIBCO Jasper Mobile App. So I should point out that the Jasper Mobile App is from TIBCO. It is not an app that we are providing. What we are doing is we are providing login support for that so that when you log into the Jasper Mobile App that is connected to your CA PPM instance, it will recognize your login, apply your appropriate security, and give you back the results that you're looking for. Right? So that's what we're providing here. You can download the app from the Apple Store, the Apple App Store, or from the Google Play Store, and then you can point it to the 14.3 instance and be able to log in and get access to your reports on your tablet or your phone in the same format that they are displayed on your browser. And in fact, that works for both reports and for any dashboards that you create. So we now have mobile access across the board, consumable anytime, anywhere, using these components together. Okay. So from there, we turned our attention to support for Agile Initiatives. And as a reminder, if you have any questions during the remarks, please don't hesitate to enter them into the Q&A console. When we turn our attention to support for Agile Initiatives, we had another couple of studies that were done that told us a couple of different things. The first is that 88% of organizations out there are now practicing some form of Agile software development, which is very powerful, very impactful, tells us that Agile is here to stay. However, studies have also told us that that's not the whole story. In other words, that Agile is not going to be everything. It is going to be a critical piece of the puzzle. And these statistics here show you that people aren't necessarily doing their entire projects as Agile, or even if they are doing some of their projects entirely as Agile, they're not doing a lot of their projects as Agile. And that's simply because of the realities of business, right? That there are certainly things that benefit from being iterative because you need the information that you gain throughout the execution of the project in order to deliver the right result at the end. but there's also a lot of things that are about operational efficiency that we do in our organizations that we know how to do, that are based on well-known information and well-known patterns, and that we need to execute on them once and not have to repeat the work, right? And so all of those investments still fall under a waterfall, or in some cases a hybrid model where we're going to produce a piece of software in an agile fashion, but then our launch process, for example, is going to be more of a waterfall type of approach. So we need to be able to address all of those things. And regardless of your execution method, we are still finding studies that are telling us that only 4 in 10 product managers, people who are responsible for producing product, say that they are aligned with their organization strategy, right? So which is kind of shocking even in this day and age that we still have more than half of people who are saying that they're not necessarily aligned. So with all that, the question then becomes, when you talk about PPM and Agile together, and this is a question we get from a lot of customers, that we find that a lot of people are struggling with this idea of how do we make these two things work together, because the historical perspective has always been that these things are kind of working against each other, right? That on the one hand, you have governance and investment control, and on the other hand, you have people who just want to get the work done and be productive. However, in a lot of cases, they give up the controls and end up producing things that may or may not be aligned with what it is that we want to accomplish. Well, what we're here to say as CA Technology is that there is no reason why these two things cannot coexist in harmonious fashion together. They don't have to be antagonistic. There is a way forward for both of these areas. And so this is our simple box slide that shows that. You essentially have your governance above everything, which is in CA PPM. That's where you have your strategic planning and investment control. You then have a series of execution methods that you might use for your investment. They may be traditional waterfall, such as a data center deployment. They may be a checklist, which is a simple project, lightweight project that just requires a simple checklist of items. If you might have a hybrid type of project, which is going to have some waterfall components and some agile components. And then for those items that are agile, you'll have an agile, enterprise scale agile backlog that essentially lists out all of those items that are being executed by your agile team, which according to the agile principles are consistent perpetual teams that are going to be executing on that work, and then they'll go ahead and manage that work accordingly, and you can now track dependencies between that work and any waterfall or traditional work that you might be doing. So in a lot of cases, organizations have told us that they set up programs that reflect the ability to incorporate this type of information, right? But either way, we have a place for everything to work in harmony. And so this allows you to get integrated planning regardless of how you execute. Whether you're doing a fully complex plan waterfall, whether you're doing a simple checklist type of project, or whether you are doing an agile execution effort, you can speak to all of them. And so that's what we are doing with our integration. You can see here, this is phase 1 of the integration. So this is by no means complete, but it is what we believe to be the first step of value for a lot of organizations, and actually also the first step of maturity for a lot of organizations in working with PPM and Agile together. And there's a number of different pieces here, but I will jump to basically the diagram that shows that essentially what we are doing in 14.3 is we are mapping projects on the CA PPM side to initiatives on the Rally side. Now, for those who are familiar with Rally on the call, an initiative is a level of portfolio item. So portfolio item is a Rally term for those who are uninitiated, not to be confused with PPM portfolios. We've worked through that with our Rally counterparts. But the way that what you call those portfolio items can be configured in Rally. So one of the common configurations they recommend is initiative. So that would be corresponding to a project on the PPM side. Underneath an initiative is another type of portfolio item that they call a feature. That's usually a lower level portfolio item, maybe the lowest level. which represents a unit of business value. So in other words, for those of us on the call who are dealing with our customers in our organization, this is typically what the business people are saying they want, right? So they want something that's going to allow them to place ads on Google, for example, right? That's what they actually want, is that feature. It then is going to, on the Rally side, get decomposed into a series of user stories and tasks that developers have to complete in order to actually deliver that business value. That business value level, the feature level, is the level at which we've chosen to integrate, because in our conversations with our Rally counterparts, which I should point out, as Dave alluded to, the Rally acquisition has opened up a really great opportunity for us to put the thought leaders that we have in PPM alongside the thought leaders from the Rally software side and really hash out thoughtful, experienced solutions to problems like the one that you see here, right? And so we've had these discussions and we've gone over this with a number of different customer cases and scenarios, real life customer cases and scenarios, and we have found that this is what makes the most sense for tying these two things together, because the PPM side and the PMO side is primarily interested in business value realization and or the status of that realization, whereas all of the engineering churn or all of the engineering work that's being done, which can change a lot very quickly, is all part of what happens on the engineering side in the engineering development system in Rally. So what you see here again is that we tie the project to the initiative, the tasks to the features, and then what happens is as work is done on the Rally side, the feature status is updated based upon either the story count or the story points, and that will correspondingly update the task status, which then updates the project status. And so you can monitor the production of your Agile initiatives in the PPM system. Okay. And that's in phase 1. And you can also get more details specifically here. This is just the flows that I just went over, but basically that is in a nutshell what happens in the Rally integration. And just to wrap up on that topic, so again, the whole idea is that as integrated planning and integrated control allows you the opportunity to connect your strategy to execution. We consider this to be a unique value proposition because this is what makes it different than, say, a pure Agile tool usage, right? Agile tools are great for handling your sprints and stories and even releases of features. However, they generally do not speak to money or speak to investment or speak to forward planning of your overall staffing, for example. And so this is what we bring to the table in a combined fashion, is the ability to take everything from setup of your strategy and portfolio decision-making, as well as capturing your innovative ideas, all the way through to delivery, regardless of whether that delivery involves Agile or Waterfall. And that's part of the vision that we'll continue to be building out. So, and if anybody is interested in seeing more about where we intend to take integration from here, I will make my own plug for CA World, but that is certainly one of the things that we are going to be talking about at CA World is what the subsequent phases of that integration are going to look like. That's outside the scope of this call as we're focused on 14.3 here, but just to let you know that we do have plans for additional things that we're going to be doing. Now, I mentioned that underneath the integration, the PPM and Rally integration, there is a set of APIs that basically form the foundation for our new RESTful API functionality. So this is the first version of these APIs, meaning that we've got a limited set of the APIs available that were basically picked so that they could enable the Rally integration. However, they are publicly available, so they are published. If you are running 14.3, you can access the APIs. There's a screen that allows you to do that. And if there's one feature that we are probably going to undersell, it is going to be these APIs, even though I don't think it's actually possible to oversell these APIs. These APIs form the foundation not only of any integrations that you might do, It also forms the foundation of refactoring the user experience. It forms the foundation of changing the way that people interact with the system, and it also forms the foundation of the move from being a primarily on-premise product to having a key concept of being a true SaaS product with a set of RESTful APIs that make the system very open and allow you a lot of ways to connect to it, right? So that's what we think about these APIs. You can see here that this is actually the screen you'll get if you want to exercise those APIs and test out how they work. It is a live screen, so you'll notice there's a login at the top. If you log in and you start moving information on this screen, it will actually do reads and updates from your system. But we find that it should also make your integrations very robust, because what we are basically saying here is it is our contract with you that we will not change these interfaces. So if we say that we will give you a list of projects, we may change all the plumbing or all the mechanics behind the scenes, but the way you ask us for a list of projects doesn't change from version to version. So as long as you're expecting a list of projects, we will give you a list of projects in the appropriate format, right? So that's one of the benefits there. And again, the other thing to mention is that we've talked about our Rally integration, and for obvious reasons, strategically, CA is focused on combination of CA PPM and Rally. However, we certainly believe that a lot of the work that we are doing and the thought process that we've put in and the types of APIs that we are producing for the Rally integration could certainly be used with other Agile products if you decided that that was the avenue you preferred, so that you could actually get some of the same value. Okay. All right. And then finally, the last area that we're really focused on in 14.3 is we're focused on accelerated application portfolio management. And so, you know, I don't think I can exaggerate that we actually believe that this is the area of single greatest return on investment for putting in a PPM system. If you have a PPM system, which all of you do on this call as CA PPM customers, that can handle application investments, then you have an avenue open to you for doing application portfolio management and application rationalization. And you'll see here that we have a couple of different case studies just quickly blurbed on the screen here about Nordea and Government of Canada, but in general, they're talking about saving, you know, anywhere between 10 and 20% of their total operational spend in IT or application maintenance spend, which in many cases is billions of dollars. So you can scale that for the size of your organization, but regardless, it tends to be a large amount of investment that you can gain back for executing on strategic projects if you know what your application portfolio looks like and you start managing it more aggressively. And we do believe this is, as Dave mentioned, an area that a number of customers are moving to or growing toward. And so we wanted to provide a set of useful views and analysis tools that will help you with that. So here's an example of an application dashboard that shows you the various applications in different areas within your organization. There's an application scoring screen or application scoring mechanism that allows you to measure the health as well as the condition of your applications and the business value that they are providing. We provide you a scoring framework that we've developed based upon our work with customers. However, because, as many of you know, the system is configurable, if you choose to follow a Gartner Time or a Forrester APM or some other third-party methodology, you can certainly configure it in here and use those scores in lieu of the ones that we have here. But a nice thing about these types of charts is that it very quickly gives you an understanding of where to focus. In this case, the applications in the lower left are applications we should seriously be considering retiring because they tend to have low health and low business value. Portfolio alignment, we have, here's a heat map that kind of shows us, okay, which applications are best aligned with what we're trying to accomplish and which ones not so much, so we can get a feel for that fairly quickly. And then we can also get a feel for where our applications are in their overall life cycle. Do we have a lot of applications that are fairly mature and reaching the end of their potential end of their life cycle? Or do we have a lot of applications that are new into the environment and so they're still maturing and getting adoption in the life cycle? And kind of where are they in those respective stages? Or are they in development? And if they're in development, where are they in terms of their development cycle? So it gives us an ability to see that. And then finally, if we're retiring an application, what are we going to do? In other words, what retiring an application requires, and that usually requires a project of some type, which again is one of the benefits of having it in your PPM system. This activity in your PPM system is that, okay, you can retire an application, but then what? You need to set up a project, find out how you're going to transition people off that functionality onto equivalent functionality, assuming that it's something that you need to still do, and also provide whatever other details are necessary. So that's the application portfolio management in a nutshell. I can take questions during the Q&A session on that if there are any further questions about the application portfolio management accelerator. Again, that accelerator is part of the PMO accelerator, so it is content that we provide when you put in your 14.3 upgrade or install 14.3. You get that content included at no additional cost. Right? And then finally, there are some additional features that don't necessarily align specifically with our 4 pillars, but they are things that are worth noting for long time CA PPM observers. The first is that those 2 chart types that I highlighted in the application portfolio management, those are actually new chart types available through Studio. So you now have the ability to create tree maps and heat maps of your own during the through Studio configuration. In addition, we have added, again, for the application portfolio management functionality, we added an aggregate calculated attribute type, which is basically an ability to roll up values from underlying sub-object to a master object. So if you want to average, for example, the value from a number of sub-objects to get a master value, you can do that, or sum it up, or whatever. There are a number of operations you can perform there. And then there's a listing here of some additional enhancements. I'll highlight a couple of them because they are items that I know get a lot of attention on the community. One is that we have completed the copy from idea to investment, including team and cost plan. So for a while, there were some restrictions on whether the team was manually created or created through a process, and all of that has now been addressed. So now, regardless of whether you are converting the idea manually or via a process, you can copy the team and or the cost plan. All of those combinations work, so we have now finished that up. In addition, we have also added cost type, the new capital versus operating field that was added a couple of versions ago. We have now added that into the rate matrix chargeback and transaction entry, places where it had not been previously. So we now believe that people can move to that with confidence. We also have added the multi-currency conversion functionality in the investment hierarchy. So that has now been brought up to date, so that now if you have your investment hierarchy and you have projects of different currencies, it will apply your currency rates in order to get you the appropriate roll-up. And then I won't read the rest of these, but the one that I think is not on here that I know will make some folks very happy is that we have also added the ability to schedule post to WIP as a job. So you no longer have to go in and hit the little button just to be able to do the post to WIP. It is now available through the scheduler to run the post to WIP job. So that is another piece there in addition to what we have listed here. And with that, there's a couple of other comments really quickly, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. The first is that my apologies to all of you on the call who were having challenges getting in at the beginning. I saw some comments in here about it took almost 10 minutes for some folks to get through on the audio line. Our apologies for that. We will investigate that and see what the issues are and improve that for next time. And then the other comment that I'll make is I will also echo Dave's sentiments about CA World. I know it sounds like we're pushing it a little bit, but we are really excited about it. There are going to be opportunities to be involved in a number of different education sessions, as well as participate in some research activities that we are doing there that will help us drive the direction of the product. There are some mini groups, tech talks that we are using as mini focus groups. There are also a number of roadmap presentations and other things that are going on there. So definitely, if you are interested in where we are going beyond 14.3 and you also want to see 14.3, definitely make a plan to come to CA World. But with that, I will stop taking up the Q&A time. And Malika, I think we're ready to go.
Okay. Well, I was thinking, Brian, what we'll probably do for Q&A to start is we can start working through some of the Q&A questions in the tab. I think we may have more in the tab alone to go through than we have time for, but we can start working through those.
Okay.
So, and most of these are for you, but there's a few I could probably answer. But this first one is definitely for you. The question is, it's around the Rally integration, and the question is, what about organizations that may use more than one type of Agile management tool, meaning maybe they're using Rally, JIRA version 1, you know, all together? How do those integrations work all together?
That's a fantastic question. So when I was laying out the requirements for this particular feature with our product owners at the beginning, so this is probably a year or more now ago, one of the first things that had come out of the research we did, the market sensing activities we did, is that this would be a common use case, that there would be customers that have multiple Agile tools. So in order to address that, we designed what we call a control table or federation table that allows you to identify all of your Agile tool instances, regardless of type. So it can be Rally, version 1, JIRA, whatever, and basically catalog them into a control table in PPM. And then what you do when you are saying that a particular project is tied or linked to a particular initiative or item in the other system, you also identify which instance it is attached to, which Agile tool instance it is attached to. The benefit here is you can give them common names, right? Because most of us aren't going to know it necessarily by URL, right? So you can say that, you know, oh, that's you know, Rally Department A, and this other one is JIRA Department XYZ. And so, and people will typically know just by looking at the common name which instance that they are particularly involved with. But the idea is that there is a federation control table. It is available in 14.3. Right now, the only integration that leverages it out of the box is Rally. The version 1 integration that we have out there that is still supported and still can be used does not go through the control table. At least I'm not aware that it goes through that control table yet, but we are working on making that happen. But that is how we address that. So we do have thoughts in mind of people using multiple instances. Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, great. Another question about the Rally integration. When is the featured task functionality going to be two-way?
Two-way, okay. So we have had that question a couple of times. It is possible, although not guaranteed, that it will be available in phase 2. Notice I do not say when phase 2 will be delivered. I'm not trying to be coy about it, but I'm not even necessarily sure. However, as of right now, we were looking at that for phase 2. To be perfectly honest, there have been some questions about whether or not that is a desired option, because we've had some folks who have told us that they'd like the ability to push that down. We've had other folks who have said that they'd rather not have that channel go in both directions, that really it's just intended to capture information from the operational system. Because, and just to kind of, you know, to lay out the thought process there, what we've heard is that by pushing information from PPM into Rally below the project level, in other words, once we say, here's the project you need to go work on, team go work on it, what we are basically doing is now introducing a level of control on the Agile side. That is part of the reason why Agilists want to use Agile techniques, because they want the freedom to be able to define the work however they see fit. So we will look at doing that, I'm guessing we will end up having at least the option of switching the flow one way or the other, but I will say that you will probably not see a situation where the flow is truly bi-directional, where if you update on the PPM side, it'll update on the Rally side and vice versa. It'll generally be a push one way or the other, right? So that's kind of the way that we've been thinking about that. But again, it's phase 2 or later. It is not something that we're going to necessarily have anytime.
Okay.
What's next, Dave?
Next one also about Rally. The question is the Rally integration based on the version 1 integration? I guess the question is maybe how does the Rally integration differ from the version 1 integration?
Sure. So the Rally integration is based on the new RESTful APIs that I alluded to. So it actually is underneath the covers. It uses the RESTful API layer, and that is what forms the connections between the two systems. The version 1 integration that we have was predicated on a older set of API technology that we were investigating for a while, that we are now placing and sustaining, which means that we're no longer enhancing it in order to focus on the RESTful APIs. Part of what we are doing in the next few versions or next couple of releases is updating that version 1 connector so that it will leverage the RESTful APIs. I say we. It may be us, it may be version 1 doing that, but either way, there will be an organization that is bringing it up to date. I will point out that at least in this version, if one of the things that you are looking for is the time tracking passback, the version 1 integration provides that, but currently the Rally integration does not. So that is something to be aware of, that is one of the differences between the two. But structurally, they are different. It is not based on the same thing.
Okay.
Next
one's a question I can answer to give you a break, Brian. The question is Rally a separate product or available through CA? The answer to that is both. So Rally is a separate product, but Rally software is now part of CA technology. So it is a product that you purchase separately from CA PPM, but you purchase that through CA. So I think probably if you're interested in that, probably the best first step is to contact your CA rep, and they will connect you with the right people to look at purchasing Rally. Okay, so the next question is again about the integration, Brian, and it is how tight is the integration? Is it real time, daily automated, update, or manual?
Sure. So it's a job-based integration, like most of our integrations are. So you schedule the job to run as often as you feel is appropriate to have those updates made. We do have on our roadmap, probably somewhere way down the line, I'm talking like a couple of years down the line, the idea that we might think about doing something with real time. In other words, that you would actually, when you make an update on the Rally side, it would automatically reach in and make the update on the PPM side. However, we're actually kind of waiting to see as people use this integration if there's demand that materializes for that. Otherwise, again, it's a job-based integration, runs in a batch. You can choose to schedule that job as often as you see fit.
Okay. We actually have more questions about the Rail integration, but I want to shift to some about the APIs, I think. So here's one about the APIs. Can the API be called from PPM Clarity process?
Not at the moment. So I assume, and the person who submitted that can correct me if I'm wrong, I assume that they're talking about JavaScript and the idea that you can call Zog, which is our old API, SOAP-based API from the gel scripting. There is not that mechanism yet. We have not introduced a mechanism yet for being able to call the RESTful APIs from inside our process engine gel scripting or any vehicle, whether it's a scripting, a separate event that we create for the purpose, whatever it is. That being said, we do know that that's something that we probably need to address at some point. So it is in our backlog of things to do, but at the moment, no, there is no way to do that.
Okay, another API question. Are the APIs lightweight for a mobile environment too?
Yes. That's a fairly straightforward one. Yes, they are lightweight for a mobile environment. They were designed to be that way. The gentleman who's primarily responsible for that, our VP of Engineering, Obadur Rashid, who came from Taleo, which is the HR cloud company that our CEO came from, Obi basically designed these APIs and made sure that we were, he didn't design them, but he set the principles by which we followed. And that was one of the key principles that he laid out for us because in his past experience in building the APIs for a cloud company, these are the things that you have to make sure that you adhere to in order for this to be successful. And so it is lightweight, it is extremely fast and responsive, and it is designed to be consumed in a number of different environments, including mobile, which is one of the use cases that we figured would be first that customers would ask us about, is that can we take this and leverage it for building a mobile app or exposing information on a mobile device or anything along those lines? And the answer for all of the above is yes.
Okay. Another question on APIs. Is there a test bed like Mashery available to create applications using the APIs?
That's a tougher, it's not a tough question because the answer is no. There's no specific test bed per se. However, what we've basically done is we have basically created that page that I showed that allows you to exercise the APIs by seeing what the various calls are, submitting the various information, getting the information back, and seeing how that would work. We have not registered the APIs with any third-party environments or open source environments or anything along those lines. We have not participated in any of those types of communities to make those APIs available there. It's possible that that all might happen at some point in the future, but right now the main way that you would do that is you would get a 14.3 instance, install it in an environment that you have access to either on demand or on-premise, and then you would leverage the API publication page, which is the one that I was showing.
Okay, and we got about 3 minutes left. We'll try to get in a couple more questions. There's a couple different questions around JIRA and interest in integration with that. You mentioned it a bit. Could you give a little bit more information on what we're doing with JIRA or what's potentially coming?
Sure. So for obvious reasons, we had at one point planned to do both Rally and JIRA integration in addition to the version 1 integration that we already had. For obvious reasons, that plan has changed. The Rally acquisition, which was, for those who aren't familiar with how those types of acquisitions work, it took all of us by surprise because they're both publicly traded companies, so there was not a lot of people who knew. Changed our roadmap. So the idea is that we will probably not be doing anything internally to put out a JIRA integration. However, we are designing our APIs and designing our control table type functionality so that it can be leveraged for any solution that you might want to integrate into the system, whether that be JIRA or anything else. And we also expect that the thought process that we use for doing the Rally integration could certainly be extended. Some portions of it could certainly be extended to how you might design a custom JIRA integration, either yourself or through a third-party partner that might do that for you. So that's kind of the direction that we're going with it now, just being perfectly honest, right? I mean, there's certain considerations that we have as a company, but I certainly know that there's demand out there for that, so that's kind of the direction we would expect it to go.
All right, 1 minute, maybe we get in one more question around some of the additional features added in. The question is, for the addition of cost types, do you also allow charge code to be used in the rate matrix and for cost plans?
Yes. There's been no change to charge code being included in the rate matrix or in cost plans. So now you have the ability to use both cost type and charge code in both. So if you have rates that differ based on capital or operating designation, or you want to do some kind of rates based upon activity-based costing, which is what you could typically use charge codes for at this point, or you want to plan by either of those dimensions, that becoming available as well allows you to enable that.
Okay, we're at the top of the hour. I think what we can do, there's more questions than we can answer, but I think what we could do is, I think we can capture the questions you have. We can tell who submitted the questions, and perhaps we could reach out to you, well, either by email, or maybe what we'll do is just post the answers to the other questions to the community. That's probably the best way to do it. And that way the questions we didn't answer, we can get posted in the next couple of days, and you can see those. So I want to say thank you to everyone who joined in. We had just fantastic attendance here. I hope you found this to be a very valuable presentation. We very much enjoyed your participation and your questions. So I want to say thank you. Brian, any last thoughts?
No, I just want to echo that same sentiment for you that you just put out there. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support for the product and for your continued interest. And here's to everybody's continued success.
Excellent. All right, thank you all very much. Have a great day, and we will talk to you next time. Thank you.
This concludes today's conference call. You may now disconnect.